What if everything you've been told about the American economy is a carefully constructed lie? What if the inflation crushing your wallet, the debt strangling the nation, and that feeling that the entire system is just one bad day away from implosion aren't accidents? They are symptoms. Symptoms of a terminal diagnosis the financial elite have been hiding in plain sight for decades. This isn't about political parties or ideologies. This is about a small, insulated group of bankers and bureaucrats who engineered a secret global safety net. A system of financial alchemy so complex, so dangerous, that its failure would make the 2008 crisis look like a minor market correction. They told us they fixed the system. They told us the major banks were safer. They told us the dollar was secure. They lied. And today, we re-exposing the single most dangerous mechanism propping up this entire house of cards. A secret mechanism that is now starting to fail in the shadows. Before we dive into the abyss, I need to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments. And if you're ready for the unfiltered truth, you need to subscribe. Because what you're about to learn changes everything you think you know about global finance. To understand the current crisis, we have to go back to the original sin. In the early 1970s, a crucial decision severed the historical link between the US dollar and physical gold. For the first time in history, the world's reserve currency was backed by nothing but a promise. It was the birth of the fiat era, money built on faith and government decree. This was a profound shift. The dollar quickly became the lifeblood of global trade. Oil was priced in it. Nations hoarded it for stability. It was the sun in our financial solar system. But this created a dangerous, structural addiction. The world needed more and more dollars, and the US, the sole supplier, had one simple job: print them and provide unflinching stability. But greed is a powerful drug. The financial sector, finally freed from decades of strong regulation, started playing a reckless new game. They bundled thousands of risky housing loans into complex bonds, stamped them with the highest possible safety rating, and sold them to investors and pension funds worldwide. They called them mortgage-backed securities. In reality, they were financial time bombs. The regulators, influenced and guided by banking lobbyists, looked the other way. They called this financial innovation. They were actively creating a shadow banking system, a multi-trillion-dollar casino operating in the dark, with no oversight and virtually no rules. The risk, they claimed, was safely dispersed. When the first cracks appeared in 2007, the official narrative was one of calm. Contained, they said. It was a calculated lie. The entire financial system was built on a foundation of debt and delusion. The housing market was just the first domino. When it fell, it nearly vaporized the global economy. The very institutions that created the crisis came to the taxpayers, demanding a bailout or else face complete global collapse. They were saved. They were not punished. The toxic message was sent: you are too big to fail. Your greed has no consequence. The American people will always be your backstop. But behind the scenes, the architects of this bailout knew something the public didn't. The 2008 bailout was just a temporary patch. The next crisis would be bigger, more interconnected, and far faster. And they had already begun building a secret, permanent bailout system to handle it. You were never supposed to know about it. So what was their ultimate solution? Did they dismantle the large, dangerous institutions? Did they end the reckless behavior? Of course not. They did the exact opposite. They looked at a system burning from too much debt, too much leverage, and too much interconnected risk, and they strategically poured gasoline on it. They created a permanent, hidden pipeline, a standing system that would allow the U.S. central bank, your central bank, to send billions, even trillions, of U.S. taxpayer-backed dollars to foreign central banks in the dead of night. No votes, no debate, no oversight from Congress. This pipeline has one purpose: to protect the dollar's status at all costs by propping up the very foreign banks that make the riskiest, most reckless bets on the planet. It's a global collusion against the everyday saver, the everyday worker. It's the ultimate moral hazard. The legal authority they used to create this doomsday device? It wasn't some new, transparent law. They dug up an obscure, decades-old piece of legislation, twisting its original intent to justify arguably the largest financial conspiracy in modern history. The receipt for this global collusion is wilder than you think. Welcome to the heart of the darkness. The primary mechanism they're using to delay the inevitable. It's a key part of what they call cross-border liquidity operations. Sounds boring, right? That's the point. They use complex jargon to hide the sheer audacity of what's happening. Let me simplify it with an analogy. Imagine the global financial system is a high-stakes poker game. The US dollar is the only chip anyone will accept. Now, a major foreign bank has made a bunch of terrible bets. They're about to run out of dollar chips. If they can't pay their debts, the whole table collapses. In the old days, that was entirely their problem. Not anymore. Now, their home central bank can call up the U.S. central bank and say, "Hey, we need $100 billion in dollar chips." The U.S. central bank says, "No problem. We'll take your local currency as collateral." But here's the kicker. The U.S. central bank creates these dollars out of thin air. It's digital money printing. They wire the newly created $100 billion to the foreign bank, who then loans it to the nearly bankrupt institution. Think about that. The U.S. central bank is creating U.S. dollars to bail out foreign financial institutions. Your currency is being used to save their reckless banks. Let's get specific. The numbers don't lie. First, the 2008 blueprint. During the last crisis, these currency exchange operations ballooned to an unbelievable $580 billion. That's $500 billion sent overseas, with zero input from the American people. Second, the COVID clandestine surge. In March 2020, when the world panicked, the U.S. central bank activated this mechanism again. In a single week, they pumped $450 billion to other central banks. The demand was so frantic, they had to lower the cost of these swaps to make it even easier for them to get our dollars. Third, the 2023 silent bailout. During the regional banking crisis, the public was told it was contained. But behind the scenes, the usage of this mechanism jumped by $60 billion in a matter of weeks. It was a global dollar drought, and the U.S. central bank was the only fire department. Fourth, the permanent regime. This is no longer an emergency tool. As of 2023, the U.S. central bank has made these currency exchange operations a permanent standing facility with 5 key foreign central banks. The bailout system is now a standard, always-on feature. And fifth, the interest rate scam. And what interest does the U.S. central bank charge for this service? A paltry, almost negligible rate. It's a sweetheart deal, a subsidy for the global financial elite. They get access to infinite dollars at basement-level costs, while you pay 20% on your credit card. This is parasitic finance. It's a one-way flow of your economic sovereignty out of this country. It socializes the risk of the entire world's bad bets onto the U.S. taxpayer. If one of these foreign banks fails and can't pay back the currency exchange, the U.S. central bank is left holding a bag of worthless foreign currency, and the loss is ultimately borne by you through inflation or more bailouts. They have created an illusion of stability. By using these mechanisms, they prevent short-term dollar panics. The system looks calm, but this is the most dangerous illusion of all, because every time they use this tool, they encourage more reckless behavior. They are feeding the monster, making it bigger and hungrier. They are not preventing a collapse. They are engineering a larger one. So what are the stakes? The 2008 crisis was caused by a few trillion in bad U.S. housing debt. The modern system, propped up by these secret mechanisms, is dealing in derivatives, a global web of side bets, worth over $600 trillion. Let that number sink in. $600 trillion. The entire global economy is only about $100 trillion. The next collapse won't be about houses. It will be about a cascade of failures in this derivative market, a chain reaction so fast and so vast that the central bank's currency exchange limits will be overwhelmed in hours, not days, hours. This is the final lesson in denial. We are trusting institutions that are built on borrowed time, funded by borrowed money, and sustained by borrowed legitimacy. They are hiding the greatest transfer of wealth and risk in human history behind phrases like liquidity operations and central bank cooperation. Don't fall for it. The question isn't if the system breaks. The question is, what happens when the last secret bailout fails? If you understand the gravity of this, you cannot stay silent. Share this video. Break the algorithm of complacency. Subscribe, because we are just getting started in exposing the truth. The countdown has begun. What are you going to do about it?